Welcome to the show today. I'm very excited because I have two guests. And so this is going to be a jam-packed episode where we're going to gain some insights into Shopify like never before. We're going to learn what the leadership, what's top of mind with the Shopify leadership, along with Just leadership. Because today I have my co-founder, Travis Logan, CTO of Just on the show, and Brian Peters, head of platform partnerships at Shopify. So hang on. Today is going to be a very insightful show. So we're going to jump into it. And the reason I have Brian on the show today, which welcome, Brian. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
I have Brian on here because I was down at the Shopify Enterprise event down in LA, right by where that I-10 fire was, 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised because that, knowing Shopify, they like to select very colorful neighborhoods to have events. Definitely was colorful. Really cool spot. The heart of downtown LA. Brian got on stage and gave a presentation, and he had a slide that stood out to me. And that's what we're talking about today. The quotes from the slide were, according to a survey of Shopify Plus merchants, 35% have seen smaller cart sizes, and 50% are seeing less site traffic and lower conversion rates. Now, the second reason we're here is Travis and I were at the Google Next event in San Francisco, wandering the expo, and we stumbled upon a Shopify booth at Google Next, their AI conference, which one was surprising. And two, the big letters across it were the number one converting checkout in the world. So today, we are going to talk about Shopify and conversions. And no one better than Brian Peters to join us, and no one better than Travis, who's working to build into Shopify's visitor API, server pixel, event publishing, segment extensions, everything we're building into right now. So that's setting the stage of what you'll hear today. So Brian, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
Thanks for taking the time. Brian's been at Shopify for just about 5 years now. We've been working together for years. Watched Brian grow up in Shopify as well. Congratulations on running ahead of the partnerships and the ecosystem. That slide you shared, let's start there. Where did those data points come from? How did you come to present that slide?
It's kind of funny. That was probably the most asked about slide in many of the presentations that happened at the summit. And it was, I don't think I realized at the time when I put the deck together that was going to be such a controversial slide. I almost was like, wow, should I have put that in there? Because it kind of freaked people out a little bit, to be honest with you. The data came from a survey that we ran with a lot of our Shopify Plus merchants. And there's a little bit of like juxtaposition here where if you look at Shopify's quarterly earnings call and just like D2C in general, like commerce continues to grow. Online commerce continues to grow. Shopify merchants are kicking ass, honestly, quarter over quarter. More people are becoming entrepreneurs than ever before. Our brands are growing. Larger brands are joining Shopify. So on like one hand, you have like this incredible growth in the commerce space. On the other hand, you have this like kind of looming like, wow, marketing is hard. And I think like even when I first joined Shopify, when I joined Shopify 5 years ago, I was hired to basically run the marketing technology vertical. And like which I loved, because every single quarter we would run a merchant survey, and the number one challenge was like, okay, what is your biggest challenge about running a D2C store, online store? Every single time, and I'm pretty sure that data holds today, is like marketing. Marketing is by far the hardest thing I do. I've actually we have some really great, or we did at one point, like entrepreneurs in residence where they had like a full-time Shopify job, but they were kind of running stores on the side. And I would talk to these people and they'd be like, When I first started a brand, I thought the hardest thing would be like finding the products or like, like packaging them or shipping them. But like really what you are as an entrepreneur is like you're a marketer. And then like you run this like clothing or jewelry or whatever business on the side, because if you can't get people to come to your website, then you're just not going to survive. I think what we're seeing is like the top of the funnel stuff is people are getting better and better at, and like things like Facebook ads have made that like great. But it almost seems now, and the reason I showed that slide to kind of close the thought here is like it's more like first party data and converting the sort of like competition's fierce, right? So like converting the most amount of people you possibly can on your website is like the absolute most important thing you can do when you're thinking about building your site. And so that slide sort of reflects this like new paradigm of marketing that we're in, which is like a major focus on conversion, not just top of the funnel.
The that paradigm shift, with costs across the board rising everywhere, it's harder to get those visitors to the site. It's really trying to figure out the word conversion. Shopify's never used the word conversion before. And that's why I'm so happy to see Harley out there talking about how important conversion is, how checkout's so important. It's never been used, but people need to now because it's so expensive to get these visitors. Harley, when he was on stage speaking, I forget his name, the guy from Nike. They talked about, with enterprise commerce, the focus there of the brand experience and understanding the consumer demands. And he talked about, in order to do that, you have to have that first party data, zero party data on the customer. Thought that was really interesting. Hearing trying to understand Shopify's perspective of how do you influence conversion rates? And it's really coming down to this identity, to personalization, to segmenting your visitors so you can target them with the right message at the right time with the right customer. I think it might be good to just pause right now and thank our sponsor, Better Than Audi Components.
This is employees that have a little side shop. My side shop, Better Than .shop, where I sell these Audi digital gauge displays that I built for myself and gathered, a following of people who wanted them. I was like, okay, I could build some more, I suppose. And it actually has been a fun, side hobby gig of mine.
So do you agree with the statement of conversion is more important than ever? But yours is a little interesting because you have such a loyal following to start.
That's mine's mine is not your typical D2C at all. And by the way, I don't know if it was mentioned, but it's on Shopify, of course. And I was
so.
And what I was going to say as well, like you were just speaking earlier about marketing, of course, being the hardest thing. Of course, I totally agree. But I think Shopify has just done such an amazing job at making every other part of it so dang easy that it has shined a light on how hard the marketing aspect of it is left to do. Because I know, like you mentioned, productizing, shipping, and overall like site functions. I don't have to think about, my site going down, or how am I going to add another product, or how am I going to offer international, UPS or international DHL or whatever. It's all how to take credit cards, PayPal, all that fun stuff. It's just like all out of the box experience with Shopify. And it was amazing. I knew that, of course, up front, and hence why I chose it. But as far as my experience on that site, it's very different because my market, my possible market is 3,000 to 4,000 people strong, I think, because you have to have this special component for your car for mine to work with. So literally it's just all my marketing is on Facebook. It's Facebook and word of mouth. People have my thing. They go to shows and it's their favorite upgrade they've done on their car. So they tell everybody about it. But I don't bother, doing Google advertising or anything, or even Facebook advertising like that. Cause I just joined the Audi groups and I post it, and everybody allows me to post it because everybody loves it. So I have it really on that front, but at the same time, my expansion capability is really limited.
Travis is being very modest here. What he's done, well, I love it for two reasons. One, it's so fantastic that Travis himself is a Shopify retailer. Our CTO is like, when he has like, he's breaking things on both sides to make both. He understands Shopify so deep now, and with our product, that just is a perfect recipe for anyone. I know like a lot of other, like I remember, like with Toby still runs his shop. Everyone still runs their shops.
Yeah.
I know Shopify encourages employees to do it, but what he's not telling you is it's a classic DTC, like D2C product, where if you have a great product, it potentially can sell itself, because it makes marketing so much easier when you have a product that people are willing to write to create their own YouTube videos and post it, or they're so excited about their product they're doing a video and posting it to social. Travis is getting all this viral marketing, which you don't hear that word viral marketing anymore, really. It's
really only, if the Kardashians post something, like that's the viral marketing.
Yeah, it's influencer marketing, but that's what drives Travis's business, and he doesn't spend $1 on marketing. Those are the ones we love, where it's like incredible products, and you just have to then make sure that brand experience carries through, which Travis is talking about, the basic things that Shopify simplified. They follow through with it, because we talk about retention. If someone buys something from Travis, they got to have a great experience. It's got to be shipped to them on time. You got to communicate shipping. The whole shipping world's now on the product page and part of the experience, which I think is critical and makes marketers' jobs easier if their second, third touches are positive ones versus negative ones,
right,
with customers.
Well, that's what I think about a lot too, because like not everybody's I feel like there's probably more brands out there that have a great product that people don't know about than the brands. Like I feel like we get to see, there's 3 million businesses on Shopify. Like, how do you get to the Travis point, right? Which is like, I have a super loyal following of 10, 20,000 people buying my products and talking about my products. I think the interesting thing is like, that's why conversion is so important, because a lot of these entrepreneurs are starting out new and they may not have that like product market fit immediately. Or like, Travis, it sounds like your product is like pretty niche, which actually like is probably one of the best parts about it, is like it's quality, it's niche, and the experience is good. Like a lot of these people, right? A lot of these people like starting in a space that's pretty crowded, and like if you get 10 visitors to your website in the first week, like how do you, and that's like, and you're right, Travis, I think you made a good point, right? Like if all the toil, if you will, toil is a word we like to use now at Shopify, is like, if all the toil of starting a business is gone and the only thing left to do is market, and you have 1 million people like, wow, Shopify made starting a business super easy. Now everybody's competing over who's better at marketing, then it's tough, right? And then so like every single visitor matters. Whereas before, it's like the people who were winning like were really good at Facebook ads, or like they had custom built websites like no one else could do. But like now all of those tools are like in your hands. So then it does become like, it almost becomes like a marketing function, and then it becomes the experience function on top of that.
Well, that's what marketing is. It's brand experience.
Right.
You have to have a positive experience when you're on the site, and then once you engage and purchase for the secondary purchase, or if they land on the site as a first-time visitor, you're building that trust. You're providing the information that they need to take that next step, and in addition to building trust too, which is what I think Justuno does great, is like they may not be ready to buy, right? And so like trust could be a lot of different things, and that's what I think that a lot of people are talking about, like zero-party data now, is like zero-party data is like, it expands away from just people who have signed up to your email list. And I know that like, early in the Justuno days, like we're the most powerful email converter on a website. Now it's expanding to like, now we're an identity tool. And I feel like Eric, you were saying this too, right? Like this term identity is like it's been around forever, but no one's really talked about it because it was always like kind of a negative connotation, right? Like, oh my gosh, data is going to be used to like creep on Instagram and then they're going to target me. I think what people are realizing is that they actually like personalized ads and they just didn't know it yet,
but they want to have agency over the brands that show that to them. And so I think people are willing to give up data to brands they trust, and then brands have like the power to use that in responsible ways, I would say, or not.
You're gonna see advertisements one way or another. It's whether or not the advertisements are at all meaningful to you. So I totally agree. People do, whether they admit it or not. I think generally speaking, people do like the personalized, identified experience.
Agreed.
Well, and that's where retail shifted, is that now the consumer is in charge of how they want to purchase, where they want to, how they want to, and when, and that's what retailers are trying to figure out is, okay, well, what each customer has different needs. We can't just hit them with a 10% off coupon lead capture anymore. We need to really engage them in a meaningful way. And there's so many creative, cool ways that you can engage with visitors now.
Yeah, agreed.
Also think that it's interesting. It's always been the case, but the bar just keeps on getting set higher and higher, of course, with respect to how easy is the checkout experience going to be, right? So you're on your phone, you're laying in bed, do what I do most nights around 11 o'clock. I got the TV on the background. I'm still on my phone looking. I might spend 5 minutes window shopping for whatever. And I see it and it's like, do I just, I don't feel like getting my credit card, all that stuff or whatever. And yes, I know my iPhone like has my credit cards, but it like always has something wrong, something wrong with my apps or just something. Has my old credit card in or whatever, and I already know that's going to be the case. So breaking down those barriers, with the likes of the Shop Pay instance, and trying to bubble that up early on, so I might not know I'm on a Shopify site, of course. Like me being Travis, CTO, Jeff Student, working with Shopify every day, I know, cues that it's a Shopify website. I can recognize themes and things like that, but the typical consumer doesn't. So they don't know that might be available as an easy win when they're ready to check out. So seeing something like that come up earlier, if not almost on the first page, would be, those types of indicators really help me continue on that checkout path in that time period.
So you mentioned Shop Pay, to keep us going down the path of understanding why Shopify is the number one converting checkout in the world. Talking about smaller cart sizes, lower conversions. Brian, is there kind of when you had merchants respond to you about that slide, what were they talking about? Are they, and is there a response like, what can I do? It's like, what should I do? What, it's like, oh, well, are you using Shop Pay? Are you using, buy now, pay later? How do those conversations go within your world?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it definitely is a lot of like it's less of like, what can I do? Because I think everybody is generally aware of like the main like, it's funny, like there's not like a limitless amount of like marketing tactics. And so I think everyone's pretty generally aware of what they could do. I think it's, the conversations are like, what do you mean by like smaller cart sizes? Like, what do you mean by conversion rate? Is Shop Pay, like, what should I be thinking about? And it really, what the conversation always gets back to is like identity online. And like Travis, to your point, it's like shocking now if I'm on a brand's website and the checkout experience is just like actually worse in just regular checkouts on the web. And I don't mean that, I'm not like biased or anything, but you're right. If I'm sitting on my phone, like I don't want to go grab my credit card, I just want to type in my email. I think what brands also forget too is like, I mean, Shopify for sure. And think about the hundreds of thousands, millions of people, young, like high earners that are working for technology companies that like Shopify doesn't allow me to have like Google saved passwords. We have to use like encrypted 1Password plus 2FA, like all that stuff. So, and where do purchases, like I know there's studies that show you might browse on your mobile and check out on your computer, which is, by the way, really hard for attribution. But think about all the people that like can't buy things on their computer because because their company does not allow them to buy. It's like Shop Pay solves a lot of those like weird situations. But yeah, like the merchants are often what we're seeing is that checkout is probably the main reason why large brands are considering us now. And it's also really interesting to see this mental shift away from, like, and one of the things I talked about in my summit presentation is like, there's this like old theory that if you build everything custom, it's going to be really high converting because it's going to be something that people are like really in love with experiencing, right? Like you have to build everything custom to get the experience that you truly want. And when you really drill into that, there's really not a lot of customizations that are going to help you perform better. Like there's a lot of like the stuff that you need, like buy online, pick up in store, discounts, functions, whatever. But at the end of the day, people just want a super simple checkout process and they want to just do it quickly. So every second matters. And so the brands that we're seeing coming on over or like converting to Shop Pay or whatever it is, they're like, you know what? It's a lot to maintain this infrastructure and this checkout experience. And we're like willing to give this a shot. So they might start with a small brand coming over first. They might move like one of their, might be a conglomerate. They'll move one of their brands, test it out. And I think slowly but surely we are seeing that, like, yeah, the customizations that the brand thought were super important to have all this stuff, like, are not, honestly.
Also,
back and go ahead, Travis.
There's a little bit of history behind though that idea of needing those customizations, because today what used to be a customization that people had to go down that route for is an out of a box experience with Shopify. So, it's I think yesterday it was important to be able to have those basic things, or slightly less basic but still important things. But now that you can get via Shopify, and if you can't get it out of the box with Shopify, 99% chance you can get it with one or two apps that you've added, Shopify apps that you've added on. So
yeah, it's comparable to like cleaning out your garage. You have a lot of really cool stuff in there, I'm sure. But like, when's the last time you used it type situation? It's like, if you get rid of it, you're less cluttered. Your site's probably faster. And like, yeah, and Eric and I were talking about this in Los Angeles, but like, I think a lot of, especially major SIs or developers or partners, or whoever, like, oh my gosh, like we need to hold on to this customization because that's how we like make a living. That's how we like help brands. It's how we deliver value. But it's like the age old question of like, is AI going to replace every single job? Like, yeah, it'll replace the jobs that are around today, but that means there's going to be even more challenges to solve in the future. So that's what we really think about at Shopify is, and Travis, I think you said it perfectly, is like the stuff that required customizations yesterday is now out of the box today. But guess what? There's 100 other things that need to be done that are actually going to make these experiences and like conversion even better. So like, focus on those.
Right.
Part of the communicating to your visitors is that brand experience of what isn't being done. I think today is the saying to the visitor, we get you and we understand you, and you're going to have this experience to get them to the checkout. Telling them you can do one click checkout. If they're from, let's say, another country, you can communicate, hey, you can pay with your local currency.
Mm-hmm.
Those little things are adding up now. How much you need to communicate just to get them to that checkout, and then once they're in the checkout, you have to follow through with the simplicity.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. When Travis and I were building Sierra Snowboard, we spent a lot of time looking at competitors in the space and anyone that was ahead of us, understand what they were doing, and then we'd also look elsewhere for inspiration, so to speak. I often say to one phrase I really kind of held on to recently is, don't make me go to Amazon. It's like when you're shopping with someone online, it's like, just don't make me go to Amazon. I want to support you. But so many times, like 7 out of 10 times, I can't trust that retailer that they're going to ship. Is it going to take, when are they going to ship in? I don't even know that. So as you look at the checklist of Amazon being customer centric from day one, they built their checkout, their experience so that it's so easy. Where is Shopify looking? As Harley says, they want to be a 100-year business, continue to grow. Can I ask this? Like, is Shopify looking at Amazon and what they're doing right, and applying that to Shopify's checkout experience.
And Shop Pay answer to Amazon right there for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like there's probably multiple ways to answer that question without getting me in trouble. Well, we signed the deal with Buy the Prime, so I think like that's like kind of an indication that, and we've always thought this, right? Is it's silly not to think that brands shouldn't be expanding on every single marketplace or channel they possibly can if it makes sense for their business. And like the fact of the matter is that Amazon has some ridiculously high number of Prime users, eyeballs, and like brand recognition that is never, I shouldn't say never, it's probably not going to go away. So to say like, I think when you ask Toby this question, I forget the exact word that he used, but he's like, you know, it's not competition. They're like our like inspiration in many ways, right? We look at them and we say like, damn, they've done a lot of things really good. And I think if you look at our entry into like, and Eric, you made a good point. A lot of the reason that Amazon does such a good job is like their fulfillment services. I mean, come on, like 1-day shipping. Sometimes it's delivered freaking same day, and I know I can return it. I can go to Whole Foods and return it. I can throw it back in the same box. It's incredible. I think Shopify, like we thought about that, right? Like does Shopify need to be in the logistics business to compete for those merchants? And what I think we realized was like, no, actually we need to make building an online business and like allowing yourself to own the full merchant experience is what we do best. And Amazon does another thing really well. And so what we hope to do, I mean, I'm speaking on behalf of probably like some leadership that I don't know if they share this exact view, but like, I think what we want to do is just reduce the share that Amazon takes, right? Like there's enough pie to go around. And so if a merchant relies, if it's a 70-30 split right now for a merchant Amazon to Shopify or Amazon to online, and we can make it 50-50, and that means a 30% increase in like the amount of profit they can take home. That's a win.
Well, you know, what are the pitfalls of a retailer? You know, retailers, they do have their Amazon channel, but you know, what are the pitfalls of doing that? It's you don't get any data.
Right.
And it's that visitor data that is critical to winning a customer's loyalty and trust.
100%.
Although get you your first sale, you know, and you have branded products, you know, that can lead into a direct sale, you know, next time. So there are some winning opportunities there too, for sure. I think for me, like personally, there's two things that draw me to Amazon. One, the fulfillment side, as we already know, right? And specifically about that is I don't have to wait till I get to the checkout page to see when I'm going to get my order. I'm looking at a product, and it says right there, if you order before 3 p.m., you will receive by X date.
Yeah.
That is critical, and it surprises me that not every single store has jumped on a solution like that yet. That's number one. And I think number two, and I do it, and I think tons of people do it too, is the reviews. You know, there's just so many for a product at Shopify. So even if I'm looking on the brand's website, I might still go to Amazon just to go look at the reviews. And then unfortunately from there, I'm going to get it from Amazon, and there you go. So the reviews are really incredible.
I am really, now that if we're just going to say it, let's just say it. I'm so surprised on how many D2C brands do not give you an indication on how long your product is going to take to ship.
You know what's amazing about it is that shipping companies, like I've told Travis this a million times when we started Justina and got out of retail, I said, I never want to see inventory again. I never want to deal with anything to do with post-purchase. And friends that started shipping companies, I'm like, you're crazy. Like, it's just logistical boringness. I'm so excited to see that shipping is sexy now. And these apps now have plugins that will tell you this stuff.
Yeah.
So on product pages, it's actually becoming more common. And now we're seeing the PDPs, the product display pages, being that's probably where Shopify is going to go next. Now that they're nailing Shopify, they're probably going to say the highest converting product page, because they figured out that is the most critical page. You have to communicate the core elements of building trust.
Yeah, a lot of times it's the page for sure, as well as the exit page from there. And Shopify's already done. I've seen it. We poked around. I actually reached out to Megan on your team about trying to implement something with Justuno's help to get it in the face earlier, with respect to what you guys are doing in your shop pay that says you will it's called the guarantee or the commitment or something, where you do show that shipment date or that delivery date.
Shop promise,
promise, yeah, exactly. But I want to, using Justuno, just get that right in the very beginning, the second they look at a product, or even sooner than that, just to give them that commitment.
Yeah, and I think a tangential. I'm not sure the type of audience is mostly merchants listening to the podcast or whatever, but I think related to that is shipping cost, right? Is everything on Amazon free? I'm pretty sure. Like, I think all shipping on Amazon is free.
Not everything, but that's the thing. Shoppers are willing to pay something if it's like a guarantee. Like you'll if it's the right price item, you'll pay $5 to $15 if you know you're gonna get it. Like that is proven. Even if it's like,
it is true. I mean, look at Patagonia, right? Like even with I've noticed this. Like if I buy a Patagonia shorts or whatever, it's like the shorts are $40 and the shipping is $10. I'm like, how does that happen? But
in today's world, don't they know that I'm not going to buy that?
Yeah, I literally was on a merchant's website, and this is not harassing on merchants too much, but like on a merchant's website the other day, it was a $29 shirt with $10.99 shipping. So I do think there is, I think there, if you're in terms of like, where do we look? I think there's two kind of things that we look at of like, drawing inspiration from, and what we're seeing, like demand for merchants, if you will, or like maybe another way to phrase that is like why a merchant wouldn't come to Shopify. The first one is kind of what we already talked about, which is like this idea that they need to customize everything and that Shopify is not ready for them to do that. Our position is like, we'll allow you to customize the stuff that we believe you should customize, but like, let us do everything else for you, because we have like thousands of people that are thinking about this all the time. So just like, let us do that. That's a longer sort of like uphill battle, I think, in terms of enterprise businesses. And then the other one is like, well, I'm not going to shift all my resources to Shopify because like I already have this good thing going with like Amazon.
Back to your checkout. Is that the reason Shopify kind of closed off their checkout?
Yeah, just very bluntly, yeah. Like the amount of stuff that we saw going on in checkout that merchants thought they wanted or needed, that was just absolutely demolishing their conversion rates, was like, you wouldn't even believe it. And we've been in this 4-year-long migration of the most amount of possible scripts and functions you could possibly imagine in checkout. It's been a long journey, and I know it hasn't been easy for partners or merchants. But it's really the reason why we're saying world's best converting checkout now, because you don't have like this insane amount of customizations at checkout that, and you guys are developers, this, like a merchant will inject a script on their website to try it out, and they'll forget about it and they'll never use it again. And then every time the page loads, they're now loading 100 scripts. Like that can't be good. So we're like, okay, if you want to do that on your website, we get it. Don't recommend it. You should probably use like an app that knows what they're doing. But we can't let you do that on checkout, because if we're going to survive and you're going to survive as a brand, you have to convert at checkout, and trust us, it's not going well over there.
Travis, what's your feeling on that?
Yeah.
Well, I could look at it from a consumer standpoint, or your generalized from Shopify standpoint, and I could agree, or I could look at it from Justuno's standpoint.
Yeah, right. Please.
Hey, look, if you used Shopify's checkout as it is out of the box, which is great experience, and you add in just the right amount of sugar on top, Justuno, done right, you absolutely can increase your conversions. But right. But I hear you, and yeah, I mean, that definitely happens. I know how many people use our freemium plan on Justuno, or I should say, have a freemium plan and have the embed code installed on their site, don't use it. Yeah, I mean, there are thousands have our embed code on their site, and they definitely don't know they have it on their site anymore.
It's funny what that brings up, Brian, is we have when a new opportunity comes our way and we're talking with the client prospect, they say, what should we do? Or like, can you give me some ideas? And what we find happens is a lot of what our team is doing, and this goes for our current clients too, because they'll get a message from somebody saying, hey, that Justuno's crashing your site or something, which isn't happening, is they run through the experience with the client and go, are you aware of what's going on your site?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Have you shopped your site recently? Like your chat windows being covered by your cookies window. I can't even close it. Or like, Travis can speak, Z indexes. Like Travis could probably talk for ad nauseum of everything he's found wrong with people's websites. That's not us. It's just they haven't been maintained.
Mm-hmm. I love it when, like you said, you got just things overlapping on top of things. And then the other one I see commonly is, why is it taking Justuno 20 seconds to load?
Yeah.
And so look at the network analyzer of their website as I load the page. And the request to load even Justuno's first script doesn't happen for 18 and a half seconds.
Right.
As I see literally 1,000 other requests come through. And I can look at the domains that they're being requested from. I can see like, oh, these 10 are coming from this Shopify app, and these 10 are coming from this Shopify app, and so forth. And yeah, it's like, okay, well, here's your problem. You're just going on.
Weren't we going to come up with a product for that?
Man,
what would that be, Brian? Like,
I think like apps like Taboola do that, don't they? They perfectly implement scripts at the time and place they should. I think there's apps out there that do that.
Well, but more in like an audit, like
right.
Here's the thing about conversion, Brian. People don't have time. They don't have the resources or knowledge or know-how. And it's like, we got into the site, we're done. We're good.
Yeah.
And that's what excites me about Shopify talking about conversion now, because now we finally are at that point in our industry where people are taking notice of the brand experience.
Yeah.
And now that we're recognizing that 99.9% of websites have opportunity to be optimized more.
Yeah. I'm curious.
Go ahead.
Going back to that slide. Obviously, there's
not the slide. Just kidding.
There's some very successful brands that are growing, but we also know there's more and more small businesses onboarding, right? Which add to the overall revenue growth you see online. So I wonder if that's part of the bigger reason. I mean, consumers are spending less because of inflation right now, but at the same time, there's still a lot of money floating around, hence inflation. Crazy. Right?
Yeah.
So I wonder though, like if it's just the influx of small brands that are all taking their little piece that is just lowering everybody's overall, generally speaking, other than the really successful.
Yeah, I've got to put an asterisk here, Travis, for Brian's sake. It is Shopify plus merchants.
Well, there's more and more of those though. And I think, but to Travis's point though, small businesses could be taking business from the plus merchants, right? So the plus merchants are seeing this. I actually wonder what that data would look like for small brands as well. I actually think, Travis, that's probably the reason that we all get up in the morning. I think that just general question of like, what does the future of commerce look like? If you look at, like social media platforms, everything has just gone into like 3 companies. Even if you look at like the largest tech companies the last 30 years, everything has just kind of slowly but surely been Microsoft or Google or Meta or whatever it is. You got to and then like in the past, you had the same thing play out in commerce, I think. I'm literally making this up right now, so I'm not 100% sure. But like you had retailers like Macy's and Nordstrom's and Sears and whatever. And then slowly but surely you had this like decoupling of that to like D2C. And you have like, oh, I can now buy my favorite jean, shirt, pant, whatever that I used to find at Nordstrom's now at like all of my favorite D2C spots. And like now everybody has like this alignment, like I love a hat, but I also love a different shirt and I love all this stuff. I do wonder, to be honest, to your point, Travis, if that, like how long this lasts. and if it's around to stay. Like, are we going to see that people continue to buy from 100 different micro brands, which would be great because that means more entrepreneurs? Or are we going to see companies like Shein or Fashion Nova like continue to dominate? And like a lot of that is trying to answer like what people will be into and trends that happen. So that's probably pretty hard to do, but you do wonder, right? Like, is it going to follow the same path as like big tech companies where like it slowly but surely over time becomes like 50 to 100 D2C brands that control everything? I know there's more than that because not tech in commerce, but I don't know. I think that's a great question and something that we're investing in obviously more businesses, but you got to wonder how that's actually going to play out.
I mean, I feel like, since the work from home, so many more people now who have their 9 to 5 also have their little side gig, their little online e-commerce business side gig now, because they have a little extra time on their hands to so I think that, and then of course you couple that with just how easy it is, by the likes of Shopify and others, how easy it is just to spin up that e-commerce, or not just how easy it is, but also how cheap it is. It's really cheap these days. So all of that definitely influences it. I will wonder, I think, who knows? We'll see what the answer.
Well, I think that increases the trust too, right? Because I think before you would see these websites and be like, they don't look that good. Like, I'm not going to buy some random, like I bought one of my neighbors started like this pickle shop and he sells pickles online. Like, probably wouldn't buy that from just a random D2C site, but because it looks good and there's Shop Pay checkout. And like, I think you're more apt to like trust brands now too, right?
You are, but you aren't. And on that note, I got hit with an Instagram, those just the Instagram sales pitch ads are so good. Like, they're so tailored to. So they had the head shaver. It's like this 3-wheeled one. And it was like, oh my, this is like perfect. Like, it looks like so easy. So I was like, I literally had it in checkout when I'd woken up in the morning. It was all ready to go on my phone. They had Shop Pay. They had
needed a head shave.
And then there was this one line that said, you will be, every 6 weeks build $24.99. I was like, whoa, like, this is a subscription business. And that they didn't speak about it at all, but you get new razor sets every like 5 weeks or something. They never communicated that. And then I think the second thing that is critical to these Instagram, these DTC brands, is the trust of the reviews. They had 21,000 reviews. And I was like,
5 stars, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm like,
yeah,
is this seems just all too good to be true. Yeah. Like, and I'm not buying.
I don't trust the review unless it's either a positive review with what looks like candid photos of the product.
Yeah.
Or it's a negative review. Any negative review, I'll immediately trust.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And positive reviews with photos.
The only has to be with photos. Agreed.
Back to your question of like, what does the future look like? Talking about the Fashion Novas, we've worked with so many brands that rode that Facebook rise, like 100 million in sales because they could get customers so cheap. That game's over. You can't be the all everything store and just buy your traffic. You can't do that anymore. The innovation, I love the innovation of DTC brands. It's like we're always going to have that, I think, and it's a matter of their platform and channels to get that message out. And Shopify is building for that. What they have to look out for is, let's go back to this Amazon conversation of, they invest all their life savings into these products, get to market, and then they get in the Amazon app store market and they get ripped off.
Yeah.
You see it time and time again. And where Amazon's even saying they're cutting back on their white label business.
Yeah. Well, I consulted for an Amazon brand for a while. She did about, I think, 750,000 on Amazon. And it was very, I'm pretty proud that I worked on it. It was like this tool where you could hang your hair extensions and wash them and color them. And it was like actually she had a patent on it. It was like legit. There was Travis, kind of like your product, a pretty decent sized market of people to actually use this.
I was wondering how your hair was so thick.
Yeah, I mean, these are extensions if you haven't noticed. And then she got ripped off on Amazon. And the tough part is, like, to your point, and this is not stereotyping, but it's just kind of a fact. Like, a lot of brands that sell on Amazon are in China, and good luck filing a lawsuit or even getting in touch with Amazon. We actually did end up getting in touch with Amazon. They're like, well, they're not breaking your patent, are they? Because you can see like the different designs. Try to reach out to the brand. Yeah, that is the game you play by going to Amazon, which is why there are a lot of brands that don't even sell on Amazon. Now, the problem is like, if you're not the problem, it's okay to be on Amazon if you're Callaway, like I golf, like there's only one or Titleist, like there's only one brand that makes Pro V1s. It's Titleist. And like, so you're probably not losing, you're maybe losing a little business to like some of like these offshoots. But if you have that like legacy brand, Amazon is like probably great for business because people are going there for the name recognition anyways. You're probably gonna get a little bit. But yeah, if you're starting a new product and you're selling on Amazon, either Amazon's gonna Amazon basic you, which you'll lose some business to, or you're gonna get ripped off. And it's a long road.
So you mentioned big
brands that somebody's looking for anyways, then my argument is, why do you need to be on Amazon? Because if you need to buy yours and you're not on Amazon, they're going to go to your site because they already have that trust in your brand.
Goes back to fulfillment though, huh?
So, this is what shocks me every time.
Not buying, or are we talking about the company just doesn't want to deal with the fulfillment side of it?
Right.
So answering your question again, where's the future? So, and what's happened? We used to be retailers and we were brands. What are they great at? Developing a product and marketing it. And they left distribution, they left retailing to retailers. That's traditional retail. Retailers are retailers, a brutal business. Brands are doing their thing. And then we had the shift with the internet and going direct and everything. And then the DTC rose. What's happening now is, and then the big brands got run over because they were too slow to move. Meaning, like, if you try to shop Hurley or Billabong direct, like surf industry, they have no idea what they're doing. Their checkouts, they're using, you can tell they're on like some antiquated platform where their checkout is horrific. So and they don't understand customer service when it comes to the brand's going direct and understanding customer service. There's so many different factors, but point being is that you mentioned big brands. This is the biggest opportunity because their experiences are horrific online. They don't understand online retail still. Yeah. And you can just go by trying to shop their site, and it's always a horrible experience. So that is why I feel like Shopify's Enterprise or Plus, whatever they're going to call it, is going to win because there's still so much shift that needs to happen on those big brands.
Yeah.
So maybe we finish with that.
I think that, like, I'm not even going to try to add to that wonderful ending there. Yeah. Even Stan Socks. I sent their CMO a message on LinkedIn. I was like, "Are you kidding me? What are you doing?" Yeah.
So
I do try to help if I'm checking out and I'm like, "Hey, I legitimately just tried to buy a product on your site." And like, I tried to check out, like, I've had a lot of experiences where, like, like the other day I was trying to enter my phone, my credit card number, but they had a pop-up, to your point, that was like literally covering half of the credit card. And I kept trying to push submit and it was like, sorry, can't read credit card number. I'm like, and then I just gave up. And then I emailed their brand. I was like, I love your rugs. I think it was like an outdoor rug. I was like, I love your rugs. I tried to buy it and I couldn't. So like, just go to Shopify at this point.
So just like a couple of months ago, because I forget what it was. I was trying to check out, same thing. I had a problem and I emailed them kind of the same thing. And I was like, hey, like, please tell me. It was like, it was late at night. I wake up in the morning and they're like, oh, sorry, you're having a problem. And I hit them back and I'm like, hey, so here's the deal. Actually, because they gave me a discount code for my problem, right? My experience. And I emailed them back. I was over it. I truly was over. I wasn't hurt them for the
at scale, how often that happens.
Right. And then I went ahead and let him know that Justuno might have helped save the experience because it was a competitor who was bugging out, kind of like you were saying, the pop-up was blocking me and stuff.
Yeah.
So I let him, I ended up closing that deal, but it wasn't my intentions, but it was nice to get.
Right.
I think as we finish up on time here, the message is that just as the last 5-10 years, online retail has been in its infancy, and we really, it was less than 10% of retail numbers. I don't know where it is presently today. It's got to be high teens, if not 20% plus. You might know, Brian.
Online to retail?
Yeah.
I think I saw the other day 14 to 15%, 16 maybe. Yeah.
We still have so much to build.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the brand experience, we're at day one still with it. Just us two alone, three, talking about all the negative experiences we've had shopping online.
Yeah.
And the fact that Shopify is talking about it, the fact that the market's where it's at, it excites us. So, with that, Brian, thanks for coming today and chatting with us.
Appreciate you having me. I'm glad I got this first experience with Travis as well.
Travis, can we make this a more common thing?
Absolutely. I hope so. And Brian, looking forward to you guys recently released your segmentation support.
Yes.
Because you guys are really definitely thinking the same way we are when it comes to conversion.
Yeah.
Literally, our new platform has a huge emphasis on creating dynamic segment support. So the fact that I can actually pull in the Shopify segments and also push my segment data to Shopify is really huge to just kind of make that seamless connection. So between the new profile API, again, it's real synergy there too. We've always dealt, or for a long time now, we've put our profiles forward. So lots of fun synergy happening that, we're excited to be working with Megan and the rest of your team.
I appreciate you saying that. Yeah. Marketing is obviously near and dear to my heart, as I said earlier. And the team that you're working with on the product side there is super talented. And to your point, I think there's some really exciting stuff coming out.
Excellent.
All right. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed the show today. I was going to say you could find Brian at shopify.com.
Just come on over. If you can find me, come over. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. Well, thanks and take care, everyone.
Yeah.